Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? You guys sent in a ton of articles this week all about semiconductors.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's everything from talent shortages and AI to a pretty wild legal battle.
Lots to unpack there for sure.
We've got pieces here from McKinsey, the Semiconductor Industry Association, and even a LinkedIn report from last year. What's like January 3rd and 4th of 2025 were big news days for chips.
It seems like this industry is at a real crossroads. Huge potential with all the investments in new tech, but some serious challenges too.
Yeah, the talent shortage jumped out at me right away. One article said we could be short 67,000 workers by 2030.
Yikes.
Is that as bad as it sounds?
Yeah, it's definitely a big concern. The SIA is predicting we'll need 160,000 new engineers by 2032. It's not just about filling seats either.
Well,
It's about finding people with the right expertise. The Cheap PS Act is pumping money into new factories, but we need skilled workers to run them.
so it's like having a fancy kitchen but no chef.
I
Okay, so we need more engineers. But the articles also talked about a retirement wave. What's that all about?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. In the US, about a third of the semiconductor workforce is over 55. Similar situation in Europe. And as those experienced workers retire, we're going to lose a lot of what we call tacit knowledge.
Tacit knowledge. What's that?
It's the kind of expertise you don't get from a textbook. You know, it's the intuition a seasoned engineer develops over years on the job.
Ah, I see. So like a master craftsperson passing their skills down to an apprentice.
That's what we're losing.
So how does this impact me? I mean, I use tech every day, but I'm no chip designer.
Well, think about it this way. This talent shortage could lead to slower innovation. New phones, faster computers, life-saving medical devices, it all relies on semiconductors.
Right.
Fewer skilled workers could mean delays in getting those products to market.
And probably higher prices too, right?
It's very likely. Now, while we're talking about disruption, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. AI.
Oh, yeah, that was a big theme in these articles.
One CEO even predicted that AI will dominate 70% of the semiconductor market by 2030.
Whoa. Robots are designing chips now.
Yeah.
Are humans even needed anymore?
Hold on, it's not that simple. It's more about adaptation. Some jobs will definitely change, but AI still needs human guidance.
Okay.
Take manufacturing, for example. McKinsey says AI can help cut costs, but only 30% of companies have actually integrated it effectively.
Interesting.
That means there's a huge opportunity for people with the right skills to bridge that gap.
So it's less about robots taking over and more about learning to work with AI.
Exactly. And there's already a huge demand for those skills. LinkedIn's 2024 report showed AI and machine learning jobs are booming. Some AI system designers are earning an average of $173,000.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got this talent shortage, retiring experts, AI changing the game.
My head's spinning.
Right. But one thing that caught my eye was an article about Roots Education Co. They're doing some really interesting things.
Yeah, what's their deal?
Their approach is all about hands-on learning. They get students and professionals immersed in robotics and mechatronics.
Sounds cool.
Their philosophy is imagine, educate, integrate. And it really stood out to me.
Mm.
It's not just about teaching people about technology, it's about preparing them to use it to solve real-world problems.
So they're trying to get ahead of the curve instead of just playing catch up.
Exactly. Now, before we get too deep into education, we can't forget about that legal battle you mentioned.
Oh, right. IBM versus Global Foundries. What a story.
It's a great example of the forces at play in this industry. Let's break it down.
I'm all ears. Give me the rundown.
Back in 2021, IBM sued Global Foundries for $2.5 billion.
Whoa. What happened?
They claimed Global Foundries breached a contract by failing to deliver 7-nanometer chips.
Okay, and what did Global Foundries do?
They countersued in 2023. They alleged that IBM had shared trade secrets with competitors like Intel.
So it was a full-blown legal battle.
It was, but eventually they settled out of court. We don't know the exact terms, but both companies said they were happy with the outcome.
Interesting. So why is this important? It just seems like another business dispute.
It might seem that way, but it actually tells us some important things about the semiconductor industry. For one, it highlights the importance of intellectual property and trade secrets. But more importantly, it plays into this bigger picture of industry shifts and global competition.
Oh, yeah. Global Foundries got that big boost from the CAPS Act, right?
Yes, $1.5 billion to expand their facilities.
Wow.
That was part of a national strategy to boost domestic chip production.
To reduce reliance on foreign suppliers.
Exactly.
So this legal case wasn't just about two companies duking it out. It was a symptom of these larger tensions playing out in the industry.
Exactly. And you see, this push for domestic chip production isn't just about economics. There's a geopolitical layer to this whole story.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
Semiconductors are the brains behind so many critical technologies, you know. Military hardware, telecommunications, even artificial intelligence. Countries are starting to realize that whoever controls this technology holds a lot of power.
So it's like a tech Cold War with countries competing for dominance in the semiconductor space.
You could say that. The Global Foundries IBM case, even though it was settled, it's a reminder of how high the stakes are in this global game of, technological chess.
Wow, this is way more intricate than I realized. We've got this talent shortage that could slow down innovation and drive up costs. On top of that, AI is changing the nature of work in the industry. And then you layer in this global competition for technological dominance. It's a lot to process.
It's a fascinating but complex landscape. For the average person, it can be hard to know what to make of it all.
Right. So let's bring this back down to earth. Why should someone who isn't an engineer or a CEO care about any of this? What's the takeaway for, everyday folks?
That's the key question, isn't it? The reality is semiconductors are woven into the fabric of our lives. The smartphone you use, the car, you drive the appliances in your home, they all rely on these tiny chips.
I never really thought about it like that.
Right.
But you're right. My life would be pretty different without those chips powering everything.
Exactly. And all these trends we've been discussing, the talent crunch, the rise of AI, the legal battles, the geopolitical maneuvering it all, has the potential to impact the technology we use every day, the availability, the cost, even the capabilities.
So it's not just some abstract industry issue. It's something that could directly affect me. My wallet, my access to new gadgets, maybe even my job in the future.
Precisely. And that's why it's important to understand what's going on. Knowledge is power, as they say.
I like that knowledge is power. But with all this change happening so fast, it could feel kind of overwhelming. How can we keep up?
That's where lifelong learning comes in. It's not just about getting a degree and calling it a day. It's about constantly adapting and upskilling, staying relevant in a world that's, always evolving. And that brings us back to Roots Education Co. They're not just training people for today's jobs. They're preparing them for jobs that don't even exist yet.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
It's about future-proofing ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Anticipating what skills will be valuable 5, 10, 20 years down the line.
Exactly. We need to be thinking about the long game. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me with it. I'm ready.
As AI becomes more and more integrated into the semiconductor industry, what does that mean for the future of human work? Will AI augment our abilities, or will it make some skills completely obsolete? It's a question worth thinking about.
Yeah, that's a big one. Gives you a lot to chew on.
Yep.
As we were going through all this, it really struck me just how interconnected everything is. We started with a talent shortage and ended up talking about global politics and the future of work.
That's right. The semiconductor industry, it's like a microcosm of all the big forces shaping our world. Technology, innovation, economics, geopolitics, it's all intertwined.
Makes you realize how important it is to stay informed, to keep learning. We can't just, stick our heads in the sand and pretend things aren't changing.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been a good reminder that knowledge is power. The more we understand about these complex issues, the better equipped we'll be to deal with whatever changes come our way.
Well said. Thanks for walking me through this. I feel like I have a much better grasp on the semiconductor industry now and how it impacts all of us.
It's been my pleasure. And to everyone listening out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and let us know what other deep dives you'd like to take.
That's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep those brains buzzing.